It's hard to believe more than 3 years have passed since the best sailors in the world descended on the south coast for the 2012 Olympic and Paralympic Games. I was here and the atmosphere was absolutely amazing. That summer, Weymouth proved itself a worthy host for international sporting competition. And this weekend, the Dorset town is taking centre stage once more as part of the Global Challenge Triathlon Series, which also doubles up as the ETU Long Distance European Championships. So welcome to Challenge Weymouth. These waters produced so many great moments in those Olympic and Paralympic regattas of 2012, most notably, of course, Sir Ben Ainslie becoming the most decorated Olympic sailor in history with that incredible fourth consecutive gold medal. Well, Weymouth Bay will once again be at the heartbeat of the action this weekend, but it's in rather than on the sea because the triathletes start their journey with a 2.4-mile swim. Out of the water and onto the bike, the triathletes' Weymouth experience continues with a stunning 112-mile ride on the World Heritage Site of Dorset's dramatic Jurassic coast. Then, of course, it's the big run into the finish, 26.2 miles through Weymouth Town Centre, where the crowds will gather along the legendary Beer Mile, ready to cheer every single one of the competitors. And anybody who makes it to the finish line here is worthy of a huge reception. Let's join your commentator Patrick Winterton for a further guide at what lies in store.
Those distances, of course, will be familiar as the iron distances for these triathletes. It's a long, long day they've got ahead. And the weather forecast, well, it looks as though those at the back of the field are going to have a tough time, simply because the wind is going to pick up, but the sea conditions much better than they were last year. Now, it's not all about the elites. There are plenty of enthusiasts here, and we picked out a couple of personalities, Philip and Alicia, who met at this event last year, racing together again this year. Annie Rose-Waite, a young mum who watched her dad complete an Ironman last year, and she's giving it a crack this time round. And Jason Briley, whose career is on the up, representing Great Britain in the age groups for these European Championships. How will he get on? So race morning, and the sea's relatively calm when you compare them to last year when the swim had to be shortened. That will not be the case this time round. All the safety boats ready to go, and it is a very, very early start. The darkness just adding to the atmosphere and increasing those pre-race nerves.
Good morning, are you ready to go?
I think so, yes, as ready as I'll ever be. You can never say that you're fully prepared, but yeah, just give it a go and see what happens, yeah.
Is this your first time at Challenge Weymouth?
It's my first time at Challenge Weymouth, my first time racing for Team GB as well, so it's quite exciting.
Well, husband and wife, you should be in bed enjoying a Sunday morning lie-in, but you're here racing together.
You're right, we should be in bed, but we love this triathlon business, so that's why we're here in the rain.
Foolish, aren't we? It should be good fun.
Apart from keeping warm, is everything else on track?
I think we're fine. Yeah, I actually live here in Weymouth, so I know the route very well. Yeah, sea should be fine today, and yeah, body feels okay, so just go for it, isn't it? You know, should be fine.
So the transition area prepared, the wetsuits are on as they wait for the start of the swim. The focus intense. Two women who may well feature today. Alice Hector on the right, Kate Comer, who's just turned pro, and those two last did battle in Bolton. Who will win this time?
I'm just here to go out and just give it my best, is what I always do. I don't really go with any key goals or anything, just see how I do. And the thing that has changed, which is quite scary, is before it was good to try and place amongst the pros as an age grouper, but now I've got all the fast age groupers chasing after me.
So Kate Comer A different game, different tactics, no doubt. Other women, Yvette Grice, watch out for her as the day goes on. Looking nervous before the start. Camilla Lindholm of Sweden, desperately after a big win after a long career. Jo Carrot also. There is no doubt that this is going to be a very, very competitive race. In the men's, we've got plenty of nationalities represented because it is the European Championships. And as far as Great Britain goes, well, we've got one half of the Iron couple. Stephen Bayliss' mettle has been severely tested this year with some bad illness, and this is going to be some stress test for him.
For a race in the UK, I think it's absolutely ideal location. It's a brilliant swim. I love swimming in the ocean, and the temperature at this time is pretty warm, especially in a wetsuit. And then, yeah, it's typically British bike course, and the run's just brilliant. I mean, you can just see there's so many people on the beach and on the promenade. You just have, you know, hundreds of spectators just because there's tons of people here, even without the race.
Well, Bayliss, an excellent swimmer, should feature early on. The elites get underway. A field of 18. It's small, it's select, but there is plenty of quality in there. 2.4 miles or 3.8 kilometres to swim, and if they have a good day it could be done in under 50 minutes, but there is a little bit of swell, as you can see, and that could well slow the rate. So important to find someone to work with, someone whose toes that you can follow around this course, provided they're going the right way. And Stephen Bayliss, as expected, an early leader here at Weymouth. Right behind him, some of the big internationals. We've got Marit Jaskolka of Poland, and Jaroslav Kovacic is there as well from Slovenia. And Bayliss would love to get a decent lead over both of them.
I think the way it's going to pan out, I should probably be in the front after the swim, and I'd quite like to have a bit of a gap at the end of the bike, so I'm going to push. But what I've got, I'm not a bit unsure of just from not racing. But I think I'm in good shape, so I'm going to push and keep pushing and see if my body can keep going.
Already strung out in a long line, and one or two feeding off the prowess of Stephen Bayliss. The women's race very competitive as well. Some good swimmers in there. Kate Comer will certainly be hoping to be up with the leaders coming out of the water. Alice Hector, another one who's produced good results at Ironman UK. What can she do today?
The last month since I've had a clean run of running, I've had that feeling in training that everything's sort of slotted together. It feels good. Obviously anything can happen in Ironman, but if I can get to the run in one piece feeling fairly fresh, I should be on for a good time, I hope.
So the pros underway, and only a 5-minute gap between the start of the pros and the start of the European Age Group Championships. This is the biggest race of the year for many of the athletes on the start line.
After months of training covering thousands of miles in the pool, on the bike and on the road, the age groupers are poised and ready for the start of their epic journey, and it promises to be a memorable day for every single one of them.
It certainly will, and well worth remembering that most of these athletes hold down full-time jobs and look after families as well as fitting in all the training. Now, one such man is Jason Briley, a man who swapped a drinks, drugs, rock and roll lifestyle for weights, interval and long, slow distance. He's now half the size he was when he started, but twice the man, and today he has the honour of wearing a Great Britain vest.
That's just a dream come true, you know. I never thought that would happen. That's something that happens to other people, you know, other triathletes. But that's the great thing about age grouping. You know, you have got a chance at 43 years of age to represent your country. You know, and not all sports are like that. So triathlon is just amazing, and this opportunity is amazing. And to get to the Worlds, which are just done, I've ticked a massive box, and it's all down to triathlon. It's awesome.
Now the masses get underway. And many athletes who've never, ever attempted a race of this distance. It is all about completion rather than about winning. Well, the elite have almost completed their first lap, a 2-lap swim. and they'll have an Australian exit out onto the beach and then back into the water for the second half. And Stephen Bayliss still leading, but he has not broken away from the men he was hoping to leave a long way behind in the water. Jaroslav Kovacic is still there, right on his toes. The Slovenian, 31 years old now, he's had a very good start today. Bayliss, so used to being out on his own out of the water. The man who spends his time, lives in Lanzarote. I think he'll be happy enough with his performance, but he'll be hoping that he can put a gap over Kovacic on the second lap. Bayliss's last win in Lanzarote in 2012. He'd love to add one in 2015. Now, that's a great shot. You can see Bayliss and Kovacic on the right, and just about to come over out of the water is Jaskolka, who is in third place. So he's a good 45 seconds behind, if not more. Jaskolka from Poland. We saw him in Beijing and we saw him in London representing his country in the Olympic Games, so he's a class act. Now, this group containing the leading women. Kate Comer could well be in there. Eva Pachukova is definitely in there. Pachukova from the Czech Republic. And she's had some impressive results. There she is, the first woman out of the water, but she's not got a massive lead over Alice Hector. There's Alice Hector, just a few metres behind, and right behind her is Kate Comer, some 20 metres back. So the leading three women in close quarters at the end of the first lap. And that sets up a fascinating situation for the next two phases of this race. In the men's, we've got three men out front, led by Stephen Bayliss. Kovacic and Jaskolka are there as well. Let's have a look at the timings. Bayliss, Kovacic, nothing between them. Jaskolka a little bit closer than I thought, only 35 seconds down. And some big names not on that leaderboard. Chris Fisher's not there. Grant Stewart of Great Britain, both good on the bike. They could change things in the next phase. And Marquis of Portugal, who is undoubtedly the best runner in the field.
Welcome back to the South Coast for this year's Challenge Weymouth. All the triathletes are now in the water, which means the pros are heading towards the end of their swim and the battle to become European champion is hotting up. Let's find out who's managed to carve out a lead as they head back here towards Transition 1.
Well, it's still Stephen Bayliss who has the lead. He's had to work his way through some of the age groupers who are almost twice as slow in the water. And here he is. He's come out in just over 50 minutes. So it's taken him around a minute 17, a minute 18 for each of the 3,800 metres that he's just swum. So Bayliss with a slim lead. He certainly wanted more than that. Kovacic in second place at the moment. A very solid Slovenian triathlete. And in third, Jaskolka of Poland, another national champion. Only a minute and a half between the leading three at the start of this 180-kilometre bike ride. It's not going to be the fastest bike ride we've seen in this sort of a race, but it will be spectacular along the Jurassic coast. And there's a big climb after about 5 miles that will certainly give them an indication of how they're feeling today. Kovacic blasting past Bayliss as Bayliss sorts out his clothing for the race. Not a bad idea when you consider that he had pneumonia and lung infections all the way through the early summer.
I got very ill in March with pneumonia, and it's taken a long time, longer than I imagined, to be back racing again. So it's my first race since then.
So interesting times for Stephen Bayliss, and he's starting to claw back a little bit of distance on Jaroslav Kovacic. Kovacic looking over his shoulder. Very high saddle position for Stephen Bayliss. The knees should be at, 145 degrees when fully extended. All sorts of dynamic measurements to make sure the bike is in the right position, but everyone's an individual. He'll know exactly what works for him. And at the moment, as he works his way up on this hill out of Weymouth, this is the toughest part of the course. The bad news is it's a 2-lap race, so he's going to have to do it all over again in around 2.5, 3 hours time. Jaskolka Well, he can see the two leaders in front, and he's certainly pulled back a big margin already. From a minute and a half, he's only 18 seconds behind. And Marek Jaskolka of Poland has laid his cards on the table. He wants to make contact with the leading two, and then it's a question of whether he goes through or whether he just settles in behind them. The leading woman at the moment, Eva Pachukova of the Czech Republic, saw a brilliant race from her in the Val-Vietla Eisenman, where she was 9th overall. Only 8 men managed to beat her on that occasion, and at the moment she's got a 20-second lead over Kate Comer. Comer, of course, racing pro for the first time in her career. That is a big move.
I'd always sort of placed high up in these long distance events overall, maybe top 10, but I didn't expect to place that high up. I was very shocked. Even when I crossed the line, I didn't realise till they told me, because the pros start 5 minutes early. You never really can gauge where you are or where you're coming. So yeah, I was shocked, surprised, definitely. There'll be weeks where I've had a really busy week at work and I'll be tired, so I won't get as much training done, or if I push too much on the training, I'll just get too tired. So it's kind of trying to gauge a balance of not pushing it too much, not just based on the miles I've done, but how I feel, because they can be quite draining rushing around at work all the time.
That work, life, training, racing balance. The latter two really become your life if you take it seriously. Here's Alice Hector, just a steady pace up the hill. And behind her in white, that's Yvette Grice, the 35-year-old who won Ironman UK back in 2010. Now, I know she puts in a weekly ride of between 5 and 7 hours and then rounds that off with a run of an hour. So she can't be accused of not putting in the time. And it seems to be paying off at the moment as she goes past Alice Hector without so much as a glimpse of the opposition. And that puts her into 3rd place behind Comer and Pachukova, who aren't far ahead. Now the men have made a little ground on the women, and here we have 3rd place. This is Marek Jaskolka, who was a minute and a half behind the leading two. He's now almost a metre and a half behind them. And that dead turn revealing the position. And there are a lot of chasers there as well. Fischer, Stewart, Nasvik of Sweden is there. Brylev of Russia also in that group. So it's hotting up. Chris Fischer of Denmark. Good start from him. I think he'll be happy with the way things have gone so far. Seems to be doing most of the work. There's Nasvik, another Scandinavian who's come here to impress. And all of a sudden, after that dead turn, all the athletes know where they stand. Bayliss still happy to lead, but Kovacic is putting on a burst, maybe sensing that chasing group are just a little bit too close for comfort. And we have a new leader. All guns blazing here at Weymouth as the Slovenian takes the lead. Britain back in 2nd, Poland with Jaskolka in 3rd. But as we saw, the Danes, the Swedes, the Portuguese are all starting to close them down. In the women's, Kate Comer now with the lead, having been behind Pachukova coming out of the water. Comer finds herself in unfamiliar territory. It would be nice to know exactly what's going through her mind, but she looks very, very relaxed. Meanwhile, back at the beach, the age groupers starting to come out of the water. Some of them with very impressive swim times. They have a maximum allowed time of 2 hours 20 minutes for the 2.2 mile swim. Here is Alicia Livingston representing Great Britain in the age group European Championships, and she's come out of the water some time ahead of her husband Philip, and I think she'll be happy with the day's work so far. And don't forget that she only met Philip at this event last year. The couple have certainly given us a new meaning to the term long-distance relationship.
We didn't know each other before, so we both came independently, and this was a race we'd been looking forward to. It was Alicia's first Ironman. It was a rather epic day. The surf was up for the swim. I got out, I managed to take a quarter of an hour in transition, which is pretty much unheard of. Obviously I had an idea something important was happening that day. I went out on the bike, and it was pretty hard work. And just when things got quite low, Alicia turned up on her bike.
I think it was about 40 minutes that we were riding together, I was just overtaking Philip and he said something funny, which I can't remember, I'll probably repeat. And there was some conversation that you were going to meet me at the finish for a date, for a pint after the race. So I just remember thinking, oh, he's going to be there. And when I got to the finish, he wasn't there. So I thought I'd been stood up, but actually I'd finished quicker than I thought. So I waited, but not for long enough. So I felt I ought to get in touch after the race to apologise.
My dad was at the finish, and he was like, so how was the race? I was like, race? I just met the most wonderful girl. Absolutely wonderful. I had the best bike ride ever. I knew after the race that I really wanted to see her again.
We had a very strange first date where crazily we decided to meet up in Barcelona 3 weeks later at the Ironman race, which sounds really exciting until you actually have to do another Ironman three weeks later. But that weekend went very well. We raced, both of us quite well. Although,
was he any closer to you in Barcelona?
No,
he was even slower.
It was my third in 7 weeks. we established a new tradition where Alicia has to beat me by at least an hour so she can wait to clap me in and have a beer waiting.
Now that is the sort of story that puts a smile on your face, and Alicia will be smiling because she's had a good swim, an hour and a quarter, and she's got a decent lead over Philip at the start of the bike ride. And here comes Annie Rose Waite, 21 now, a young mum who has put in hours and hours of training to get herself ready for this race. And anyone who's got a young family will know how difficult it is to find 5 minutes, let alone 5 hours for training. And that's what she's managed to do. Young daughter Isla, oblivious to what her mum is about to try and do.
So when I did the half last year, I was 20, and I just thought, I'm halfway there. I've done half of the training, so if I'm gonna do it now while I'm used to the training, used to how I feel with sleepless nights and training and the fatigue. And that was it, and it was decision made. I actually, when I got on the finish line, I said to Mum, I would never do a full. I don't know how they do it, but within the next week I was signed up to the full. So I don't quite know what happened. I don't know where my brain switched off and decided that it would be okay. I can't tell you how I found the time. It's more I made the time because I just had it in my head I was going to do it, and from the moment I decided that was it, and I'd find a way to do it.
And you've done most of your bike training here in the living room.
Yeah, it's my trusty steed. It's been amazing, really, because I put Isla to bed. I have the monitor set up just here, so I can train. I don't feel guilty that I'm out and I'm missing her growing up, because I'm not. I can do it when she's asleep, or I'll do it before she wakes up. And although the turbo doesn't give you, necessarily all the confidence that you get on the road, but it still does help with your fitness, and it's still a good workout. Definitely, it's definitely helped.
Well, hats off to her and good luck to her as she works her way around. 220.2 kilometres still to go. This is where the battle of the mind over the body starts. And there is no one who won't suffer extreme pain at some stage. It's a question of who has the right attitude to defeat the Jurassic coastline.
Welcome back to Dorset for the 2015 Challenge Weymouth. After a brilliant swim, Great Britain's Stephen Bayliss found himself out front, and at the end of the first lap on the bike, he's still there, but he has got two very classy Europeans in hot pursuit. In the women's race, Kate Comer, former age grouper, now competing as a pro, is going really, really well, but let's get straight back out on the course and find out if our leaders have managed to maintain that momentum.
They certainly have, and Stephen Bayliss still in front, and we got Jakolska and Kovacic right behind him. And actually that burst we saw earlier on from Kovacic has opened up the gap a little bit between themselves and the chasing group. A non-drafting race, so 12 metres in between each of the riders, but I think I'd still prefer to be at the back of a group. Psychologically it helps. Kovacic there settling in third. Bayliss pumping his way round. He led most of the swim. Seems to be happy out front. Others would prefer to be behind. Now here's the chase group with Fisher and Stewart and Nasvik there as well. When they started the bike, they were 7.5 minutes down. Now just over a minute and a half, around 1:45 the margin. Jaskolka starting to make a move perhaps. He's opened up a little bit of a lead. 5 seconds clear of Bayliss. Kovacic still there on the wheel of Stephen Bayliss. And Chris Fisher exactly 1:45 off the pace of the leader. Watching Bayliss go up the big climb. This was always where a potential break was coming, and Bayliss looks as though he's struggling now. Kovacic still looking pretty in third, but Jaskolka of Poland just starting to open up a little bit of a gap, and this is where to make it hurt. Is Bayliss being found wanting after missing the whole of March due to illness? Course after course of antibiotics.
Hey, do it soon. Okay. But definitely feeling it.
So as Bayliss starts to fade, I think there's an attack coming from the chasing group led by Chris Fisher. We've got Graham Stewart just behind him and the Swede Nasvik on the charge in third place in that group, but they are closing that 1:45 gap that we saw at the halfway stage on the bike. And in the women's, Kate Kuma, only her 5th iron distance race, her first as a pro, and she finds herself in the lead ahead of Eva Pachukova. And Pachukova surely has to start thinking about defending second place now, because Hector's still there, Gill and Lindholm certainly closing on the race leaders. Further back, here come our triathlon speed dating couple. Philip about to get a glimpse of his wife, Alicia, who's ahead of him. Now remember, these two only met at this race last year.
Just tell us how soon after that you popped the question, because you don't hang around. You might do on the course, but you don't do when it comes to love lives.
It was 3 weeks after Weymouth we went to Barcelona. The week after Barcelona I went to Cornwall to see Alicia and meet the children. I was driving back to London after a fantastic weekend, and then I was like, I'm completely in love, and I'm driving to London the wrong way. So the next weekend I came down, and it was the only thing to do. So I proposed.
And here they are together on the bike ride. It's not going so well for Alicia today. Philip having a stormer. He's certainly caught his wife quicker than he thought he would do.
She's having it a bit tough today, I think. I wasn't expecting to catch her so early, but she's having trouble eating.
Well, it looks like Philip's going to be the one getting the beers in at the end of this race. Annie Rose-Waite reaping the benefit of all those hours on that turbo trainer.
How's it going?
It's good. It hurts a lot. It's amazing. I actually think it's a really nice course. It's got a mixture of hills, a mixture of flat. I think it kind of works for everyone. So yeah, I think I'm quite enjoying it.
What's your strategy now?
Head down, keep pushing, because the harder I work, the sooner I'm done. So I'm going to just keep saying that to myself. I just can't wait to see my little girl. Just keep thinking of that. Pull up my big girl pants and get on with it.
Up front, there have been a few developments. Marek Jaskolka of Poland has pulled a lead of a minute out of that chasing group, and he's looking good. A man who's cut his hours of training but increased the intensity. Behind him, Bayliss is certainly struggling. Kovacic is still there, hanging on. Chris Fisher of Denmark looking strong at this stage. Remember, he started the bike ride 7.5 minutes down, blasting his way past Graham Stewart of Great Britain, who's having a very good ride indeed. Kovacic still in second place, but perhaps not for long, because Nasvik is on the charge. And it's at this stage of the race you ask, what have you got left in the tank? Remember, they still have a marathon to go after the bike ride. This is turning into an epic battle. Jaskolka has made a break. Will he be able to capitalise on it? Chris Fisher hopes not. The two Scandinavians, one behind the other. Graham Stewart still there. Behind him, there's Kovacic, relegated down into 5th or 6th place, and Bayliss is off the pace.
You okay? Exhausted.
Well, we can understand those feelings. It's been a hard season for Bayliss. He will be back. He's so experienced. And here's another victim of the course. Alice Hector looks as though she's had enough. Tough times. All those hours of training.
I've got no energy.
It can happen to the best of them. Kate Comer in a significantly better condition after a fabulous effort so far. Pachukova, competitive early on, starting to lose time to Kate Comer, and coming through, storming through, Vicky Gill of Great Britain. What a great bike ride she's had so far. She won the Outlaw in 13, she was third here in 2014, and she now puts Great Britain 1 and 2, but Camilla Lindholm of Sweden is gaining ground dramatically after a very slow swim. She is quickest on the bike. Comer, Gill, Lindholm, all in the race here in Weymouth.
We're in the heart of Dorset for the climax of this year's Challenge Weymouth. After coping with a 2.4-mile swim in the bay and a beautiful 112-mile bike ride across the Jurassic coast, the welcoming sight of this friendly hometown is homing into view for the race leaders. But before they can turn their thoughts to the glory of the finish line, there's the small matter of a 26.2-mile multi-lap run to contend with. So, as they prepare for Transition 2, let's get straight back out to the action.
And here is Marek Jaskolka of Poland, who's been leading for over an hour. He made his move with some 70 kilometres to go, and he's got himself into the second transition in first place, just where he wanted to be. Now, he's capable of a sub-3-hour marathon, and that will make it very hard for the chasing group to catch him. But who has their running legs on? Will it be Chris Fisher of Denmark? He's got long legs, certainly. Jaskolka out on the road. 26.2 miles, 42.2 Ks if you like it that way. Stephen Bayliss looked exhausted on the bike, but he's back on the road. Credit to him. He's going to see this one through. But what damage will it do to him? Or will he recover? Chris Fisher going past Graham Stewart. Those two have had a battle royal today. They've seldom been more than 10 metres apart. Jaskolka on his own. It's a lonely marathon, and he is the one being chased. Kate Comer has that position in the women's race, first into T2. She's capable of 3:21 in the marathon, and she may need to go quicker than that to win.
Before Bolton, one of the big things I worked on was my running, so I got a bit of technique analysis and things like that because I'd never been a strong runner, and that seems to have made a big difference. So I just kept up the run training and stuck with that really.
Camilla Lindholm, 1:11 in the water earlier on today. She has made great gains on the bike ride, and she's taken Vicky Gill with her, the 35-year-old Brit. They're going to have an interesting battle out on the course. Lindholm of Sweden now 41, but certainly still in her prime as we watch Chris Fisher of Denmark trying to close the gap down on Jaskolka. Nasvik of Sweden hasn't really got into his running in the early stages, and there's no doubt that Kovacic is about to go past the two Scandinavians. He's set off at a much quicker pace on this run and clawing back a few of those places he lost at the end of the bike ride. Nasvik very heavy-legged. A check of the watch from Chris Fisher. And Kovacic very, very fluent. He's got the perfect build. He's back into runners-up spot. And Sergio Marquez, 17 minutes behind in T2, is now into third place, having a tremendous run. Well, here's the man he's chasing, Marek Jaskolka, and so far no signs of weakness from the pole. If he can stay strong, he should be okay. Kate Comer, how long will she be able to hang on to the lead? She will know that she has Vicky Gill and Camilla Lindholm of Sweden both chasing her down on the run. Here is Lindholm, who's now into second place, ahead of Vicky Gill, the 41-year-old Swede. Small, low steps, it's an efficient style, and it's coping well with the windy conditions here in Weymouth. Here's Vicky Gill smiling away in third place. I hope she's as happy inside as she looks from the outside. And if she is, she could well hang on to a podium position. This is Philip Henwood, who last saw his wife at 45 kilometres. I'm afraid the news is not good for Alicia. She has had to pull out.
This just wasn't my day. I was having a great swim, so I can't tell where I came out the water, but I was really pleased with that, and managed a good hour and a half before Philip caught me up. But then I thought something was wrong with my back wheel. It just felt like it was grinding and it was snaking. I rode on for another 50 minutes, then my front wheel blew out. And then when I stopped, both were punctured and I'd only got one spare tyre. I wasn't having a great race mentally, and I was, not my day.
There is still something massive to do here. You promised your now husband, who was then a stranger, a pint at the finish. Are you going to have a pint ready for him when he finishes?
Yeah, I certainly will this year.
Well, that's something for him to look forward to. I think there's a little bit of pain to go through before he can consume that. Annie Rose Waite still chugging on. It's been a solid performance by her.
Mentally exhausted now. Legs feel okay, but it's hard work.
And coming up the road now is Jason Briley, 20 stone in 2005, now a lean, mean international athlete.
That's a good motivator to get other people who think they're done in life, they can't do anything else, they've gone too fat or too old or too addicted or too anything. I'm kind of proving to them that that's not true. You can actually sort of swap it round.
Proof that the unimaginable is achievable. There are many, many stories like Jason's out here today. Marek Jaskolka of Poland, well, he's had another battle. It's been an epic one, and he is about to claim the title here in Weymouth. After a really solid run, he subbed 3 hours for the marathon, a 51-minute swim, 4 hours 50 on the bike where he made his break, and now 2:50 on the clock in the marathon. He's going to be under 2:55, certainly. Just a couple of 100 metres to go as he winds his way towards the finish. A final check on the watch from the pole. He's about to claim the European title and take the win here at Challenge Weymouth. These are emotional moments for any athlete. He's worked so hard, he's pushed so hard. These are moments to savour. A minute and a half behind the pace out of the water. It didn't take long to catch Bayliss and Kovacic, but he's outperformed them on the final phase. 8:42 his time. That is impressive, but in these windy conditions, it's outstanding. Jaroslav Kovacic faded a little at the end of the bike, but that might have been tactical. He might have been trying to save something for the run. He's done just that. He's got himself back up into runners-up position. Second in the age group of the grand final in 2013. He's second again here at Challenge Weymouth. 8 hours 45:51, just over 3 minutes behind Marek Jaskolka of Poland. The Pole, who was third in Ironman Wales back in 2013, takes the gold medal here in Weymouth.
It's fantastic, you know. I didn't expect that. Just 4 weeks ago, I did a hard race in Amber, and but I had really good legs today on the bike, especially on the bike. So I decided to go solo after the half of the bike course, and then on the run, I tried to control that pace. and that felt really great, especially the last 100 meters here before the finish line. It was a very emotional moment.
Second place for the Slovenian national champion over the Olympic distance. He's put in yet another impressive performance here in the UK.
It's my first challenge podium, my first elite medal in ITU races, and I'm really, really happy.
And what a moment, not only for you, but for Slovenian triathlon as well.
Yes, this is a breaking moment for us. To be Slovenia, I'm proud to won the first medal on ITU elite races, so I'm very, very happy.
And so, Jaskolska with 8:42.32 takes the win at Challenge Weymouth ahead of Kovacic and Sergio Marquez, the fastest run of the day. That was outstanding, 2:45. Graham Stewart, the best of the British, in 5th, ahead of Stephen Bayliss, a gutsy 7th.
The good ones where you're going really fast are easier than the harder ones, the slower ones when it's tough. But yeah.
Are you able to take pride in how you managed to grit out getting to the finish, because DNF doesn't register with you?
Yeah, I'm just exhausted, that's what the problem. But yeah, I mean, I think it's what a lot of the age groupers who do it, you know, and they don't necessarily have enough time to prepare, they work and have families. They should not necessarily worry when they don't do as well as they hope. It's the tougher days that shows some character. That's when I think true sort of long distance character comes out. Just keep going to the end.
The Scandinavian men, with Fischer and here Nasvik of Sweden suffering after a massive effort on the bike. But one Scandinavian that hasn't faltered is Camilla Lindholm, coming home to claim the women's title here at Challenge Weymouth. She's done 3 races in the last 5 weeks. This will be the one that she remembers. The lecturer from Malmö University has finally hit the big time. Over 14 minutes off the pace out of the water. That is some comeback.
What does today mean to you?
Oh, everything. This is what I'm longing for my whole career. I wanted to win the big race, and I'm so happy, so happy. I'm 41 this year, so it's never too late, you know? This is like, I think this is a dream for every athlete to win, to finish first at the finish line. It's something special. Second, it's not the same. Win is like, it's worth it. You can push all those rainy days, cold days, and the hard training session is worth everything.
A huge congratulations to Lindholm. There you see a time, 9:41.31, 10:50 ahead of Kate Comer of Great Britain. Considering that was her first sea swim of the season and her first pro race, she has exceeded expectations.
Incredible. I mean, the swim was quite choppy, but I came out feeling quite good, and then pushed the bike, and then I kept thinking I'd get overtaken on the bike, but I didn't. I think I probably got a bit carried away and pushed too hard, and I was climbing up, standing up, really pushing it, and I felt it on the run. I almost needed the start of the run to recover because I was just struggling.
And here comes Vicky Gill, 3rd last year, 3rd this year. What an unbelievable duel she has had with Kate Comer right throughout the day.
Brilliant battle, and definitely pushed me all the way to the line, and I didn't have it in the last kilometre. She had a really good change of pace as she passed me, and I just couldn't match it. But I really put everything out there, and I can't be upset because I got bronze last year and I've retained my bronze medal, so really happy.
So a tremendous battle in the pro division. The age groupers have been fighting it out for European titles as well, and those who've taken a little bit longer have had a really tough time. The wind picking up dramatically throughout the race, and certainly those outside that 9.5 hour mark having the worst of the conditions. 1:41, that's Paul Sellers. Annie Rose-Waite there wearing 5:23. A glance to her left, but she has 1 lap to go. Phillips still plodding on.
I'll be glad when it's over. It's been a long day.
And he'll be back for more. Addicted to long-distance triathlon. Jason Briley in the middle of your picture. So proud to be in that Great Britain vest.
All right, I think I've got about, I've got 1.5 laps to go. So really I'm homeward bound. Not feeling too bad considering I've been on the go for 11 hours. It's the suit that does it gives you superpowers.
And a positive attitude. Now remember, he started 5 minutes after the pros. He's trying to break that 12-hour barrier, so as long as the clock isn't over 12:05, he will have succeeded, and it's going to be close. 12:04.26, so 11:59.26 with a 4:17 run.
This was your race, and you absolutely smashed it.
I did smash it, yeah. I've never run that hard. I don't know what the marathon time was in the end, but it's got to be a PB on the marathon alone. But I still got a sub 12, which is only the second time I've done it, so I'm really chuffed.
We've gone sub 12, it's sub 11 next.
Gary Jane coming across the line. Georgina Rolt on her way into the finish. She's gone sub 4 hours for the marathon. Brilliant.
The third lap was tough, but the rest of it was amazing. Absolutely amazing, yeah.
So just having everyone here to cheer you on makes so much difference. Appreciate it.
Turn around, look, there's the fan club. There's the fan club.
There's no doubt the fans play their part.
Did you enjoy it?
Awesome. Really, really top-notch event. Loved it.
Well, remember, it started early this morning. They were down at the start in the dark, and some of them are finishing in the dark. They have been swimming, biking, running all day long, and still they have the energy to celebrate. Philip Henwood across the line. It's been a long day, but he does have a pint waiting to celebrate the last year. Engagement, marriage, and umpteen triathlons. It's been a busy time.
So finally, 12 months on, you get the pint.
Hey, it's wonderful. It's nothing better than seeing your wife at the finish.
And you've earned that pint. That was tough today, wasn't it?
I've never worked so hard for anything. It was really hard today. It was an hour longer on the bike, at least an hour longer on the run. And I've got so much respect for everyone still out.
Over 13 hours to complete the race. That's 13 hours on the go. Those at the back deserve every bit as much credit as those that took the prizes home with them. Annie Rose-Waite has made it, and she's got a smile that says she made it. She spent the last 13 hours thinking of daughter Isla. Now she has her back in her arms.
I really wanted 13, but the conditions today, they were so tough. So just to finish, and with Isla, it was just, that's all it's about. And a podium place.
Yeah, I know, I just heard them announce that.
I know. Fastest loser. Amazing.
Congratulations.
Well, that's it for this year's challenge, Weymouth. Dorset has delivered in style once again. And what we've seen this weekend proves that the key to this distance is determination. We even had two pretty emotional victories for the European Championships. Marek's moments of magic signalling retirement after 23 years as a pro, and Camilla's first major crown coming at the tender age of 40. There's hope for us all. It has certainly been an inspiring couple of days here on the South Coast. But from everyone for now, bye-bye.